Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to 31 days of content with me. Today I'm going to be ranking all of my Natasha Denona palettes. I currently have 13 in my collection, so I'm going to be going through them, telling you what I enjoy about them, what I don't enjoy about them, and ranking them 1 to 13. So yeah, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe before you go. 60% of my viewers aren't subscribed. I put up a lot of content here, so you'll never get bored. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to give it a big ol' like before you leave. It really helps my channel out. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the video, you guys. I hope y'all have your wine or your preferred beverage. I just did want to preface that some of the Natasha Denona palettes are newer to my collection, so I will probably do this video again next winter, and I think that the lineup will look a lot different because I haven't gotten to explore some of these as much as I would like to really get a good grip on how I feel about them. So that's why I feel like some of the ranking spots will potentially change over time, but either way, I wanted to film it, so here we are. The first palette I wanted to talk about is number 13 and the last spot in my collection, and that is the Natasha Denona Star palette. This one is discontinued, so you can't get it anymore unless you find it on Mercury or something like that, which is where I got mine secondhand. When I got it, I all of a sudden realized that this shade and this shade are not only identical in swatch, but they're like identical on the eyeball. So right off the bat, you're getting two shades that are pretty much the same. And this one fully retailed. This was like one of the bigger palettes. So retail value on this was like over $120 some. So that was the first for me. Then you have these two shades here, which do pull quite different. As you can see, the tone on this one is more warm and this is more a classic pink and purpley. So you do get a little variety. I wanted to swatch those two out for you because I know sometimes people think those look similar, but I really think they're not as similar as they actually look in the pan. So the biggest reason why this is last for me is these two dupe shades. I think the shades are beautiful. I personally, just for that price point, would have liked to see a different shade in there. But the biggest reason was because these shimmers are different from any other Natasha Denona palette I own, and in a bad way. At first, I thought potentially I got a palette that was expired. But as I did a little bit more research and I was watching people's reviews of this on YouTube and their ranking videos, they said the same things about these shimmers. So I think that this is the formula. It's how it is, and it's not good, which is why she didn't do it again. So I'm going to show you the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about this shade, and this shade. They are the shimmers in this palette, and like, look at all, oh, did you see all that, you guys? All of that kick up, they are the most, making a mess. This one isn't quite as bad, but those two are terrible. Like, look at all that, even on the swatches, all of that freaking kick up, a bloody mess. And the thing is, like, I was like, okay, whatever, kick up in the pan does not really bother me because that doesn't always mean it's going to be messy on the eye. In this case, it is messy on the eye. The first time I wore it, I just put it on dry. No. I had fallout quite literally all over my face all throughout the day. It was terrible. Now, what I do like about these is they are so sparkly and they have like bigger chunks of sparkle in them than the Natasha Denona palettes normally do. So they are beautiful on the lid, but man, the fallout is crazy, you guys. What I did, the best way that I found to apply them is to put a glitter glue down. And then after you get the glitter glue down, when you dip in them with your brush or even with your finger, wet that down. Like spray it with water, spray it with the setting spray, wet that down, and then press and really drag them into the eye. And then you're still gonna have to clean up because you're still gonna get fallout, but it does help with the fallout throughout the day. I still got fallout throughout the day, but it was not as bad as the first day. And honestly, that's kind of what puts me off to this palette, is because like the fallout that you get from those 3 shades. Beautiful, but just a freaking mess, you know? So I just wanted to talk about that in depth because I know a lot of people still really have their eye on this. They're sad they missed out. If you want to pick it up on Mercury, I saw other ones. They come and they go. But honestly, I think that this is one, now that I have it, like, I like it, but I think I could do without it because those shimmers they're whack. So that is why this is in my number 13 spot. Okay, so for number 12, I put in the Metropolis palette. This one is also a little bit newer to me, and this is one that I could see moving up in the rankings over time as I get more comfortable with it. I had the dupe color story before, so I'm pretty comfortable with the color story, but that is partially why it's so low. I just feel like overall this palette runs very warm, very orange tone, and those aren't typically shades that I reach for often. So that's kind of why it's a little bit lower for me. Formulation, it is beautiful. I don't have any trouble with the formulas I've tried so far. I like that you kind of get this deeper grungy section. Mine's rearranged, if you can't tell, but I like how you do get this to like deepen shades up. I also love that you have so many cream to powders in here because I really like the cream to powder formula. The shimmers in here are also very beautiful, sparkly, reflective. This one is a really, really nice palette. Like I said, I could see this one moving itself up over the next year when I have more time to play with it. But I got it, when did I get it? Probably, I want to say in like October. And I really just haven't had the time to completely dive in yet and gather my full thoughts. So I put it a little bit lower just because I don't reach for it that often. This red, I mean, it's pretty, but I don't really, ooh, I bet this would go really nice with the red in my Spook palette. Ooh, so I might have a use, okay, I might have a use for this. But yeah, I just haven't really been able to use it much, but the formula is still really nice. I enjoy all the cream to powders in here. This shade, stunning. This one is so pretty. I wore this on the eye with the green and it was just chef's kiss. Yeah, I just need to play with it a little bit more, which is why it's ranked so low, but formula wise, it is good. And that's the thing, from here down, formula is good. The only formula I really struggled with was those shimmers in the Star palette, so I just wanted to say that. Next up is the Natasha Denona Zendo palette, which I'm not sure. I did a 3 looks 1 palette with this, and I'm not sure if it'll be up yet by the time this goes up. If not, it will be up during the 31 days of content, so that will be coming. And the reason why is because this isn't a color story that I would actively grab for or reach for, because to me and my preferences, it's not like an easy color story. It's something that I need to put more thought into and to work with. And that's why I did the 3 looks 1 palette, and it really did help me because now I have some looks that I know that I can reach for in this. And I think the really nice thing about this palette in particular is you can get so much variety in your looks with it. Whereas, in my opinion, Natasha Denona often lacks depth and dimension within her palettes, and you get a lot of repetition, or it's very repetitive, but not with this one. This one is very standalone in that regard, to where you can really get a lot of dimension and a lot of different looks out of this, which I really, really love. And I feel like, you know, it kind of has a color story for everything. You have your mints, you have your grungy colors, you have like your pinkies, you have your corals, you have your browns, your golds, I feel like you can get a lot out of this one. Like, it could definitely be a workhorse. And this one doesn't have necessarily any of the really sparkly shades like I'm going to show you in some of her other palettes, but I still think these shimmers are really good. And I know that was like one of the biggest complaints about this palette, is everyone was a little bit disappointed with not having any of those really sparkly, impactful shimmers. And while I think that would have been nice, I don't really feel like it hinders this palette. Still think it's gorgeous. If you have not seen the 3 Looks 1 palette yet, you'll be really surprised when it goes up, because honestly, I loved every single look that I created with this. And it really surprised me how much I enjoyed it. The only reason that it is ranked number 11 is because I just don't feel like it's something I'm gonna actively reach for all the time, if that makes sense. So yeah. Now, number 10, we have the Mini Gold. And I put this one in number 10 because I haven't been as into green shadows as I once was. But what I love about this is that you can get those green, grungy, olivey tones with this. It's small, it's compact. So while I'm going through this phase of like not really being in love with green, I'm going to hold on to this one no matter what, because I can get a green look with it and it's small and compact. Whereas, you know, I might get rid of some of the bigger green palettes first. But this shade, gosh, these shimmers are so pretty, so soft. They're really well done in this palette. This shade over here is this one, absolutely stunning. This is a cream to powder, the dark one in there, so you can work really well with it in the crease and in the outer corner. I really love this more like taupey shade over here. It is really gorgeous as well. Oh, hi. I don't know what that was. Okay, dying. But yeah, overall this color story is really pretty. I really like it. I think it's well done. I think if you're someone that's just looking for a splash of green in your collection, I think it's a really, really great one. The formula is good. I know sometimes people say that they don't think the formula is as good in the minis as it is in the larger palettes, but I fell in love with the minis first. So I think that the formula is really great, and this is one that I would highly recommend. In fact, it's been half off on Sephora here and there, so I would keep a lookout for a sale. They are a lot smaller than you would anticipate. That was my thing. They are very small. So if you can get on sale or something, that's like kudos. Number 9 is the Mini Biba. And this is one I've thought about decluttering this so many times because it's so basic. But the reason I don't is because every time I think about decluttering it, I do a look with it and I'm like, no fucking way, man. No way, Jose. She's staying right here. It hits so different and slaps so hard. I don't know what it is. It has to be something with the tones, because when I use it, I'm just like, bro. Like those 2 tones, stunning. The shimmer in here, absolutely gorgeous. Like there is just something about those tones, how they play on my skin tone, how they play together, that makes it absolutely stunning. And again, it's one that I don't ever really reach for on its own, which is why it's a lot lower on the totem pole. But when I do reach for it, I freaking love it. Like, it is literally just a neutral dream. I plan to do some videos featuring her mini palettes. I don't know if there will be one up in 31 days of content or not, but if not, it'll be coming pretty soon in January. So I would, you know, stay tuned for that. But I really love this one. It's really great. The formula is consistent, really nice, compact. This could be a really cute, good one to travel with. If you like to travel with more neutral tones, I think that could be a great one. Number 8 is the gold palette. And this one's ranked down so low. I feel like this is another one that could potentially move up, but it is a lot newer to my collection. I got this in the beginning of, or no, I think it was in like, maybe it was in October. I'm not sure. But I got it in secondhand and I have used it a handful of times. And I am so obsessed with this row and like this shimmer. Like, that's literally the look I've done with it every time because I love it so much. Like, there's just something about this one and it's so sparkly on the lid, and the way that it plays with those tones in this row is just, oh, it is so pretty. So basically the only reason that it is listed where it is listed is just because I haven't been able to play with it as much as I would like to form an opinion to bump it up higher. Like this shade, the way that it swatches, oh my gosh, it's like wet. So pretty. So I think that this like potentially, again, will be one that moves up in my ranking, but I didn't really feel comfortable doing it right now because I want to play with it a little more. I think the thing that would hold it back regardless, potentially, will be the blues, just because I don't use a lot of blue, but I don't know. I think it could be really pretty paired with this shade or even that shade. I want to play around with it a little bit. This is one that she discontinued, brought back, and then discontinued again. So maybe / hopefully it'll come back again, because like, how could she discontinue this? I just feel like it looks so pretty. Neutral lover's dream. I'm really excited for mine to look more loved and well used. I like when my palettes look like I've actually used them. So yeah, that's why this one is so far down. I really just haven't had the chance yet to really dig into it. Next up, number 7 is the Natasha Denona Sunset Palette. This one was on sale half off at Sephora, which is when I snagged it, and I have used it a handful of times. I definitely want to play with it more because I think that, you know, the shimmers in here, or at least the ones that I've used, are more on the natural shimmer side. I don't think we have any of those really, really sparkly shades in here, which is fine. But we do have some really beautiful shimmers. I freaking love that pop of yellow right there. Love, love, love that that is in here, because honestly, my collection was missing a bright yellow since I've been decluttering. So I love that I have that in here. I also really enjoy warm tones and browns. This formula is actually, I find it to be a little bit different than my other Natasha palettes. The formula itself, like the mattes, seem to be a little bit harder pressed and firm. I don't feel like that affects their performance, how they blend out or anything like that. But they are a little harder pressed. So I just wanted to mention that, but I don't think it affects the quality at all. And I really enjoy this one. Number 6 is a little bit newer, is very newer to me, but I haven't been able to put it down. It is the Natasha Denona Retro Palette, and this is not one I foresaw myself loving. It's one that I wasn't even interested in when she launched it, like at all, because I'm not like super into pinks and stuff, but I have become more of a fan of mauves and those brownie mauves. Like, I'm into that. And as I was looking at this palette, I felt like this had more of those kind of tones to offer. And yeah, I've just been loving playing in it. It has some really beautiful, pretty sparkly shimmers like this one and this one. I love this tone of cream to powder here. And it has so many nice, like deep shades to deepen things up. So it's not just like a light pink look. You can get like a really grungy, mauve-y look out of it. And I could foresee this one definitely bumping up in my ranking next year once I have a better footing and grip on the color story and what I love about it and what I don't love about it. But so far, I have really been enjoying this. I did get it secondhand as well, and I find the formula to just be really consistent. You have your sparkle shimmers, you have your cream to powders, which are really nice in here, and then you have a few mattes as well. But I feel like this color story is really nice. I want to dabble with it more to see how much like dimension and variety that we can get. But overall, this is one that I feel is kind of underrated. Next up, we are in the top 5 is another mini, and it is the Mini Retro. The reason this is number 5 is because this is quite literally like the most unique palette in my collection. Now that I have more indie shadows, I might have something similar to this shade, but it is so unique. This color story, and you might be thinking, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't look that unique. Like, but you guys, if you have it, then you know. Like, look at that. How beautiful. And I didn't even swatch this green here, but the shade, like the tones in here is what really gets me. The tones and the mattes are so unique. Like I said, I don't have them anywhere else. And these two are probably the most sparkly indie shades that I have. I did a big swatch thing of some sparkles for a friend's project on Instagram, and they still outshine so many of the shimmers in my larger indie palettes. It's not a color story that I use that often, so it probably could have been ranked lower just because I don't use it a lot, but I wanted to put it higher because I feel like if you're, shopping for the best, what you want, etc., I feel like this one is truly unique. And I feel like the tones together are just so cohesive, and it has the most sparkly shimmers. So I think if you really want a standout one, like even between these 3, and then I had the Mini Star as well. So out of those, I think this one is home run, and I would recommend this one out of all the minis that I've tried so far. Number 4. Another one that I wasn't even interested in when it launched. In fact, I was so annoyed when it launched because of the shade names. And it is the Glam palette. So when she launched this, I was like, these shade names are so annoying and stupid. I can't even stand it. They're the ones that are like inner corner, crease, outer lid, blend, inner corner. So you have like duplicate shade names and stuff, and it's just so annoying in my opinion. So I really hated that about it, which is why I never really picked it up. Also, I was like, I'm not the biggest cool toned gal, so maybe this wouldn't be for me, and I held off until what month was that? July or August, I can't remember. But we went to Sephora. They had one of these in store. I swatched it. Game over. Like, this one is so beautiful, and I feel like you can't even tell, like, in my lighting, but when you get these on the lid and swatched out good, like, they are very, like, sparkly, shimmery, and I loved that. Not to mention, it really just, when I wore them, they really just complemented my blue eyes and my skin tone, and now it's one that I reach for pretty often. You can tell it's been like used fairly often. Like, it's not, I don't have any pans or anything like that, but You can see there's quite a bit of usage in there. It could look more loved. That's the goal always. But this is one that I really like, and it really just surprised me, which is why it's so far up. I think that, you know, honestly, for me, I don't wear a ton of cool tones, so this could be like the only, I think it is really the only like cool tone palette that I have. And I'm okay with that. I'm gonna stick with it. Like, it is really pretty. It's really well laid out. I haven't had any issues with it. In fact, almost every time I wear this, I get a compliment on my eyeshadow. So that tells you what you need to know. But yeah, I really love this one. Number 3. Take a sippy of your drink. Number 3 is the My Dream palette. You guys, this packaging, she knocked it out of the park. Beautiful. Finally, something a little bit different to her normal aesthetic. Really fits what I love and what I enjoy. And then the color story. I was unsure about it when she launched it, but it looks so different in person than it looked from the promotional photos. And I actually was lucky enough to snag this on Octoly. So lucky. If I wouldn't have, I don't know if I would have picked it up. Well, I might have. I probably would have picked it up on Mercury used. But the color story is so much more beautiful in person, and that was literally the first thing I noticed when I opened it. I was like, oh my god, it's so pretty. Like, it truly is. And I feel like she's really starting to play with some more intense formulas, and I love that because we have some really gorgeous new stuff going on in this palette. Like, this shade, stunning. This freaking duochrome, absolutely gorgeous. And then those 2 shimmers right here, so freaking sparkly, you guys. Like, absolutely gorgeous. And then also, like, the tones of the mattes. I really love, like, this one and this one. Like, those are really beautiful tones in my opinion. Then you get this Familia shade that you wouldn't think would really work with this color story, but it does. I feel like this one is very diverse. You can get a lot out of it. You can get very light, natural, and neutral looks. You can get very dark, vampy looks. You can, you know, with this shade here, this is on indie brand quality. This is really nice. The duochrome here. So if you're someone that's just starting to dabble in duochromes, or you like them, but, you know, you don't use them that often, I love that she put one in here. There's just so much you can do with this palette. Like, I'm truly obsessed with it. This is one that I could easily find myself using every day. And what I like about it too is that I don't find myself feeling like stumped by it. I'm immediately really inspired by it. And that's, I mean, that's what I like. That's what, you know, what I really reach for are things that are either easy or inspirational to me. And this one is really inspirational. So I definitely highly recommend this one. All right, you guys, top 2, here we go. Can you guess what they are? If you've been here, if you know my collection, you might be able to have a pretty good idea of what my top 2 are gonna be. Number 2 is gonna be the ND Glam face palette in the shade Light. And the reason why is because this one is easy. It is so easy. Great for travel, great for when I'm running late for work, great for when I'm depressed and don't want to think about what I'm putting on my face. I just need to look presentable. This is that Workhorse staple palette that is going to allow you to create really beautiful looks. Maximum look, very minimal effort kind of situation. And I live for that. You can tell this one is pretty well used. Also, the shimmers in here are different from anything else in her palettes. Very soft emollient, very sparkly. These ones are nice. They're very different than her other stuff, which, you know, I like. This freaking highlighter is just on a different level. It's on its own thing. I use it on my brow bone from time to time when I use it. What I would have loved is if she would have put a cream bronzer in here, I would have just died. Like, it would have been probably, it might have been number one in my collection if it would have had a bronzer. But what I really love in here, and I'm gonna use my different hands so I don't get all ucky, is this blush. You guys, the tone of it is stunning. Like, absolutely perfect on my skin tone. I love it so freaking much. And it's so easy to work with. And it's very buildable, which is something that I like as well. It's not one that, you know, you go in and you're like, oh no, like too much on my face. It's not like that at all. It's a very, it goes on lightly and you can build up the formulation. Really beautiful type of situation. Gosh, this one is just so good, you guys. If you're looking for something beautiful, easy to work with, has all the things, this is the one. And I'm not usually a person that's like really into face palettes, but I'm obsessed with this one. And to be honest, you could probably use, or I could probably use this crease shade as like a bronzer or a contour if I really wanted to. But yeah, I just think it's a really beautiful concept, really well done. Really loved to see this from her. I would, you know, I would love something similar, but then it's like, well, then is it too redundant? I don't know. But yeah, this is one of my favorites and I highly recommend it. Gorgeous, beautiful. Packaging is annoying, but you know how that goes. Now, number one. This is the big Natasha Denona palette that caused me to give Natasha Denona another shot when it came to palettes and formulation and stuff. I bought this secondhand and I'm so glad I did. I've loved it so much. So much. The number one Natasha Denona palette in my collection is the Biba palette. I absolutely love this one. It is a true workhorse, you guys. It does all the freaking things. Now, this is one of her bigger palettes, so it is a little more on the expensive side, but you can always catch it on a sale or something like that. But what I love about it and what is done so well, in my opinion, is that you want cool tones, you got cool tones. You want warm tones, you got warm tones. You want neutral tones, you got neutral tones. You want orangey peachy tones, you got orangey peachy tones. And they all tie together so well, but you also can just do, like, stay in your lane with them. And that is what I really like, is that you can get so much variety if you want to spice it up and do something fun, or you can just get the most subtle, glam, basic look with it if that's what you want to. Like, I've literally used the shit out of this, as you can tell. I'm working on a couple more pans. Shine is beautiful, and I will say these aren't super like sparkly shimmers that she has in this palette, but they are really nice shimmers. And I love this one because look at that undertone. It's like bronze, yellowy, almost a little orangey olive. Like, this shade here is so unique, and that's that rustic shade up there, and it's just so stunning. I also love this freaking shade here, this like yellowy brown moment. Beautiful. I love the peachy tones in here. Like, who am I kidding? I love all the tones in here. That's why it's my favorite. I just think that the tones complement each other really well, and they complement me, my skin tone, my eye color really well. I love them. I will also say this spot color here, this black, is a cream to powder. Hands down the best black shadow I've ever used in my life, which is part of the reason it has pan, is because when I need a black shadow, I'm coming here because it's foolproof. It never ever lets me down. Blends out great, holds pigment, doesn't turn blue. We don't get any fallout. I think her doing the black and the cream to powder formulation was genius. Genius, genius, genius. But yeah, I just feel like this is such a great, foolproof, well-rounded palette. Like, yeah, I mean, I could literally just go on and on and on and on because I love this one. Yeah, it just, and what's so funny is, you know how I'm like, yeah, I'm not really like a cool tone, not really a cool tone gal. The funny thing is, almost every time I reach for this palette inspires me to reach for cool tones. And I use the cool tones a lot. Like, you probably can't even tell, but this gray shade has like a pretty dang decent dip in it. I love that shade. And it's so weird because, like I said, I don't really use cool tones, but man, when I dip into this, there's just something about it that inspires me. And these, oh man, these are like red, brown brick tones. Like, they are so pretty, you guys. Sorry, I'm like geeking out, but like, I just truly love this palette. But yeah, so that is now my Natasha Denona ranking of all the palettes in my collection. At this time, like I said, I have 13. I've also tried the Natasha Denona Mini Star. I decluttered that one. That one was nice, but obviously I have the bigger one, so I was like, meh. And then I have also tried the Natasha Denona Bronze, which I returned because, in my opinion, it was just too repetitive and redundant. I couldn't get enough dimension out of that formulation. So those have been out of my collection. I do plan to do this video again next year. I do anticipate that the ranking is going to look a lot different. There might even be some new additions. We'll see. But either way, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, like, your favorite Natasha palette, your least favorite Natasha palette. I am so curious to hear because, you know, everyone's preferences are different. So I'm sure almost all of our rankings would look completely different. So let me know in the comments where some of these rank in your collection. I would love to hear. And if you made it to the end of this video, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, I cannot wait to see you all in tomorrow's video. Bye.